Also, university libraries like the U of R library has an excellent collection of gazetteers and atlases which you can use. So I did that. I did my research, went to all these gazetteers. There are two very good German ones. I won't get into it because your research may be in another area. And I could not find either of these towns. I could not find either LAMMS or LAMPS. And again, that may be the kind of experience that you have. Found 81 communities beginning with LAMM and 30 beginning with LAMP. So what do when this sort of thing happens? If you can't find it, first of all, go to the oldest gazetteer and atlas you can find in case the town name has changed. And there's a very good gazetteer for Germany that was done, I think before World War I, right, Larry? It's the Myers Gazetteer.
Yeah, Myers Lexicon on 1912.
Yeah, and I know they have it downstairs. And it's also online now, so you can use it online. But go to an old one like that and see if your town name might appear there. Because it could be that it's been merged or assimilated by another town. Well, I did that, and I still didn't have any luck. So, pass to your second strategy, which is to look for phonetic variations. Remember I said at the beginning that the town name often is written phonetically by relatives or by people who are creating records. So I went to the gazetteer, went to Myers Gazetteer, and put together a list of the towns that I thought were fairly similar to Lamsheim and Lopsheim. And you'll see that I also indicate here the current German state that they're in. And one is in Bavaria, and one is in Rhineland-Pfalz, or the Palatinate. Okay, at this point, you can't do all five at the same time, so you have to establish some priorities. So I thought that probably the three that were most likely was Lampheim, because it's in Bavaria, and these two down here because they're in Rhineland-Pfalz. They're in the Palatinate. And of these three, the one that is phonetically the most similar to Lamsheim and Lopsheim is this one down at the bottom, spelled with a B. Because in German, the B and the P are very similar sounding, and I thought, well, that could be the town, and let me start there first. It was a good choice. There happens to be a published book in German that lists all of the families in Lopsheim from 1547 to 1800, published by a genealogist in that town. And it's available at the Family History Library in Salt Lake City. And it's in German, but I've translated this entry about the Graf family. Married, ta-da, Charlotte Durst. And if you remember way back when we looked at the county history for Erie County, mentioned that Jacob Graf's mother was Charlotte Dorst, D-O-R-S-T. But when you do this kind of research, you don't always sweat the small stuff. Dorst and Durst are the same surname. So based on this then, I ordered the microfilm records of the Lamsheim Protestant Church, and indeed did find a baptismal certificate for Jacob Graf, his 4 siblings, and the marriage certificate of his parents. So this is the kind of process that you may have to go through to find the town of origin. Now you may be lucky. I mean, maybe you already have that, in which case you can jump immediately to foreign research. But for many of us, it will involve going through this process. Now, a lot of us think, well, gosh, once I've discovered the town, then I'm all set. I'm going to find that my family lived in the same town, lived in the same town for generations and generations, and all I have to do is look through the church records of that town, and I'm all set. Well, they moved around in Europe, too. And what I found as I dug into the German records is that the Graf, my great-great-grandfather, of course, was born here, but that the Grafs were millers, by the way. They owned and operated grain mills. And they had only been in Lamsheim for a little over a century, and before that had come from Rheingenheim, which is over here, also in the Palatinate. This is the Rhine River that's coming down like this. And before Rheingenheim, they had been in Schriesheim, over in Baden. Now, all of these towns, they owned and operated grain mills. And then the original Graf to which I can trace my ancestry is a Hans Graf born in Teufenthal, Switzerland, which would be down to the south, around 1620 something. And he came to Baden right after the 30 Years' War. And this part of Germany was devastated during the 30 Years' War, and there was a large Swiss emigration from Switzerland to Baden and the Palatinate at that time. So it helps to learn a little history along with it. Here's another bit. This might explain some of the reasons why I was getting conflicting information. This is a map of Germany after 1815. If you remember your history, the final defeat of Napoleon was in 1815, and there was a Congress of Vienna that met and kind of redrew the map of Europe. Well, at that time, part of the Palatinate, this part shown in yellow here, was given to the Kingdom of Bavaria. Bavaria is here in the yellow. And there was no physical continuity there. There was land in between. But this part was part of Bavaria from 1815 until the end of World War I. So, always pays to have a history lesson, and this lesson is that an immigrant from the Palatinate to the United States in the 1800s probably would have listed Bavaria as his or her place of birth. So that explains why I had one record that indicated the Palatinate and another record that indicated Bavaria. Yes, Joanne?
Is there a connection there in German translation between Palatinate and the Pfalz? What is
The Pfalz, P-F-A-L-Z, is the German name for the Palatinate.
Ah?
I should have pointed that out.
Oh, that's
Okay, Helen.
Peter, the map I was showing you earlier, I had looked up his name, and what I forgot to ask you about, the town that I did find was not in Bavaria, it was in Baden. Is that going to throw me out there?
Well,
Or is it just
we probably
something-
should talk afterwards.
Okay.
You have to look at all your sources and put them all together and try to make sense of them. So, okay.
You asked the version of the map. What did you do?
Question is where I got the map,
Yeah.
and I can't remember. I'm sorry. It was online somewhere. Yeah.
The Gen web sites have a lot of the maps and the different.
Yeah, it could be that the Gen website for Germany has this, or for the Palatinate. So, what are the lessons we learned? Well, first of all, the importance of interviewing your relatives, and the importance of checking